Hey financial advisors, have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you run out of warm market and then you decide to do cold? If you do, this video is for you, okay? In fact, that's usually what most managers or bosses would say, right? And also with the current landscape, I know roadshows are also back already at this point in time. Cold calling still exists, but it's pretty regulated in certain companies. And maybe at this current point in time, you might still want to get cold market, but not through those methods. Maybe purely because it's about tedious, and it might not be that effective, right? Maybe you want to get more cold prospects through social media platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay, and in this video, that's exactly what I want to cover. I'm going to share with you what worked for us, and in my business, as we used to primarily use like outbound messages on social media platforms to reach out to like cold prospects, and in fact, like more than like 75% of our advisor clients, right, came from like cold outbound messaging, right? And almost like nearly 100% came from cold market. So we don't have any like warm market and whatnot, at least with my warm market that advisors join us, right? So it's purely cold, right? So we also teach our advisor clients the same thing, and it worked for them as well. So I'm not sure if it will work for you, but I'm just going to share what worked for us, and hopefully it works for you. Okay, so and also at the end of this video, once you watch through the entire thing, you also find a link to a resource that will help you in your attempt to reach out to more cold prospects and impact them. Okay, so again, if you don't know me, my name is Benjamin Ong. I'm the founder of Authentic Advisory Systems, where we help FAs make more money while being happy, purposeful, and authentic. Okay, and again, I make these videos because I hope the lessons that I've learned and taught to others might be valuable for you, so that you can make tons of money, and hopefully one day you will do want to work closely with us and join us in our community. Okay, so if you don't, it's perfectly fine. Lots of love. Just enjoy the videos for totally free, and all I ask is you like and subscribe to the channel. Okay. The first thing that we need to understand is that when we can't reach out to cold prospects on social platforms, there's usually we either use like Instagram, Facebook, or the more common ones is usually on LinkedIn, right? A lot of people will probably tell you to go on LinkedIn because that's where your prospects are. That's where it's more professional, it's more business and stuff like that, right? And I think I know a lot of advisors are doing on LinkedIn right now. I think the biggest challenge or a few challenges here is that first of all, the people that are on LinkedIn, from the receiving end, they receive a ton of messages, right? So your prospects or anyone else, right, receive a ton of messages every day, of which a bulk of it is spam, right? And they don't know you, and what happens is that also they tend to ignore you. I think one of the bigger ones is also like people that, like your prospects, are not that active on LinkedIn as well, right? So if after a certain period of time, maybe a few days or a week, they hop on the platform and then they receive a ton of messages, that's going to run through as though it's like email, and then they're going to ignore, right? Unless that particular message or things that you send to them is interesting and appealing to them, right? So it's kind of like the nature of that. And also, like, one more thing is that I think right now, a lot of people are just on LinkedIn adding connections, so on and so forth, right? So everybody's doing that kind of like thing and just adding people for the sake of it without a real genuine connection, right? So therefore, in today, I'm going to share with you guys 5 pillars that we use and what we teach some of our advisor clients as well on how to reach out to cold prospects on social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, a lot more effectively and get a lot more results. So the first pillar that we need to nail down to reach out to cold prospects more effectively, it's to nail down the audience, right? So the key thing is that when it comes to audience, right, you want it to be extremely targeted, not, let me just put it, and you don't want it to be general. Like, why, right? And the reason for that here is very simple. So again, when you especially deal with cold market, if you are aiming for everybody, so it's like, okay, I want to help people that are like, from of anyone, I don't help anyone, right, to achieve passive income or whatever it is, right? More often than not, you are not going to get much results, purely because, again, the messaging is very generic, right? Like, if you're going to reach out, so what I mean by that is, like, for example, you think about it, right? Would someone respond better if, let's say, you're an accountant? Will you respond better if the message and the person that's approaching you actually help accountant, or would you respond better to someone who says that, oh, I help everybody get passive income? You're probably more likely, right, to respond to the person who is very targeted, right? So in our niche, for example, like if I put mine in the context, right, it's like we help FAs to get more sales, to get MDRT, yada yada, and stuff like that, right? Now, our audience is financial advisors. Now, if I go a little bit more generic, it could have been I help salespeople. right? I help salespeople. Okay, so again, if you are an advisor and then I reach out to you and I say that, hey, I help salespeople. Now, you might respond. However, you wouldn't feel that it is as appealing as the message if I say, hey, I help financial advisors specifically, right? And all the things that we do over here is only for financial advisors, right? So we all know all the terms, the FYC, the blah, 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 your MDRT, COT, whatever it is, right? Your recurring, your clawback, or whatever it is, right? Versus like, oh, I help salespeople, right? So the person, the audience, the prospect, knowing that you help a specific group of people, will first perceive you of a higher authority and expert, and number two, more likely to reply and really get back to you. So this is the whole reason why we need a specific audience, okay? So you want, basically the whole point is you want to niche down, right? So when it comes to audience, you in target, right, there's really two types of like two ways you can really niche down. Actually more than two, but I'll talk about these two, right? First one is you want to look at interest-based. So when you look at interest-based audience, right? So what this means is that, these are groups of people that have a similar interest or particular interest. For example, let's say they have an interest in baking, they have an interest in cooking, they have an interest in kids, tuition center learnings, mummies, whatever it is, right? Certain type of communities, right? So they are interest-based, right? So that's the first type. The second type will be, if you especially are using LinkedIn, right? It will be occupation or profession-based. These are usually your doctors, maybe say lawyers, accountants, yada yada, and stuff like that, right? So if you're using LinkedIn, I would suggest to go with occupation or profession based. If you want to go with interest based, maybe IG or Facebook would be more relevant if you are really going for interest based, right? So that's kind of a big idea here, right? So these are the two types. And I think the more important, like I mentioned, right, is the whole reason why we want to niche down and not make it generic. And I've seen this a lot of time, right? We have people that just do generic stuff, and then once we tweak, and they send out messages, right? But once we tweak the audience to be more specific, the response rate got a lot higher, right? So the whole point is that the person hearing or receiving it needs to resonate with it, right? They need to be like, hey, that's me. Like, hey, I help financial advisor. Oh, you're talking to me like I'm a financial advisor, right? But if it's like I help salespeople, then it's like, yeah, okay, like I'm also a salesperson, but like, your stuff is a little more generic, and then you might not really capture your attention and stuff like that, right? So it's kind of like the big idea over here, right? If I were to give an example of like generic, right? So one thing that's slightly more generic in a specific example, right? So this is, let's say, specific, and then if it's more general, right, then it's like working professionals, right? I'm sure you've seen this a lot, right? They say that I help working professionals do this and that. And then it's like, okay, working professionals is a very huge range of people, right? So is it young, old? Is it a specific, and whatnot, right? So you can see that the nuance here is like, it's so generic and then it's like so meh, right? But when you say that I help auditors, I help doctors, I help C-suite executives, now those are very specific, or at least a lot more specific than just working professionals, right? So that's how we look at like audience, right? So the first thing you want to do that we suggest is to nail down on a specific audience. Now, that being said, don't worry, right? If you are thinking like, oh, but Ben, if I niche down to a specific audience, I don't have, the audience got smaller, right? Instead of reaching out to whole Singapore or whole Malaysia, now you only left with like a small segment of it. First of all, don't worry about it, because the whole rule in marketing and really reaching out to people, right, is that if you market to everybody, you market to nobody, right? And that's the honest truth now. So that being said, you probably want to start small, and then subsequently from there, you can expand more, right? So that's kind of like the big idea over here behind niche. And I can tell you that this is why I start the first factor or the first pillar, right, is really talking about audience, because this is really the key thing. There's too many people out there that just really want to put generic stuff, and more often than not, it really doesn't serve them in terms of response rate the best. Okay, so number one is audience. Now, the second one over here, right, is what I call a value prop statement, right? Or in other words, I call it like a mission statement. And you probably might have seen this somewhere, whether it's your colleagues, friends, and whatnot, right? What you call value prop or / mission statement. It sounds something like this, right? It sounds like, I help young working professional, I help doctors, right, to achieve more free time through my blah 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 framework, right? Or like I help fresh graduates to earn 1.5k a month in passive income so they can travel guilt free via my FAT framework, something like that, right? So this is what I call the value prop mission statement, right? Then the question is like, why do we even bother having this? And the reason here is very simple. So again, every time you go, so when you want to reach out to cold people, right? The first biggest thing of like the reason why people should even bother and show interest in your message or in the things that you do is that the things that you offer must directly offer some form of benefit or some form of help to them, right? So the whole point is really captures people's attention and interest, and also kind of like showcase and articulate to people what you actually do. Because when you reach out to cold prospects on Facebook, social media, whatever it is, the first thing they'll do is to check your profile, right? And if they see your profile, and then it's a bunch of like, let's say, sob stories, blah, 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 right? And then the question is like, not a lot of them would really be that interested in like your sob story and your humble beginnings or whatever it is, right? And the reason for that is because like you're totally cold. Like I don't like you reach out to me, so I just want to see what you can help me with. Like that's usually like how people behave, right? Because in fact, like everybody behaves from a position of like self-interest, right? So the question they always ask themselves is, what's in it for me? So when you create a value prop statement or a mission statement, you straight and you put it on your biography or your profile, right? You directly tell them within like 3 seconds, right, what you actually do. And does it capture their interest? It gotta be like that fast, right? Because the moment they see that the profile is like, meh, it's not interested, not interesting, or like it's shady or whatnot, it doesn't capture their attention of like what you can actually do. They're just going to skip you, ignore a message, and move on. Okay, so that is the reason why a value prop mission or mission statement is extremely important. Okay, so I'm going to share a framework in terms of like the formula of like how to create that. So the formula for this, it's I, then action, okay, and then fill another one, your audience, 2, outcome, to achieve whatever outcome by your framework. Okay, so I have to highlight this. Okay, so I, action, your audience, to blah blah, to a specific outcome by your mechanism or your framework, right? So I help. So usually the action step is that usually we use the word help. You can use empower if you want to, but usually help is the simplest one. So I help fresh graduates, right? So audience. So if I fill in the blanks, so let me see. Let me use a different color for this. So I help fresh graduates. Okay, very specific, right? Fresh grads. Especially if today you are in the 20s and your friends are going to grad or undergrads, right? Or you're still undergrad, maybe a student advisor, or some of your friends are still undergrads, right? But some of them already grad. You can put like, I help undergrads and graduates or fresh grads, right? Now, this is very specific, okay? So I help fresh grads or undergrads to, so what's the outcome, right? So outcome is important. So outcome is not necessarily just like you spin up your own thing or whatever you have to achieve. It must be something that they want, right? It must be something that they want. So if you say things like, I help fresh graduates to find their love life, and that's like a bit off, right? Because you're a financial advisor, and then like love life might not be something that they actually want to find. So then it's very weird, right? Because that's not something that they might really want, right? But if you say like, I help fresh grads to earn 1.5k or to achieve 1.5k passive income, right? So that they can, spend more time traveling, right? That's the outcome that fresh grads might want. Or I help fresh grads to achieve 20% more income, right? Through investing, for example. Right? Basically getting more investment, passive income, whatever it is, right? Or you can help, like another frame to look at it, right? Is like if you can help I can help fresh graduates earn 10% more in income on a yearly basis, up to 10% in yearly income, in income for a yearly basis, right? Through my investing framework. So can you see, it's like, this is something that they want, right? Because a lot of fresh grads, especially work itself, corporate and whatnot, they always complain pay is not enough, yada yada, and stuff like that, right? So what if you can do that, right? Or whatever variations that you want, right? So it's the outcome that you want. Now, another variation, if let's say today you are someone that is a little more senior, I don't know if senior is the right word, but if you're someone that's slightly more an adult, right? And you want to help, and let's say you're mom or dad or parent, and you want to help people. So it could have been, or it could be, I help families, right, to achieve blah blah blah, so that they have more free time to spend with their loved ones, or so that they can retire safely, or whatever it is through my blah 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 framework, right? So that's the whole point, right? Because you basically got to match what your audience want with the thing that you offer, right? So for example, if I say I help financial advisors achieve their MDRT in under 4 months or under 5 months or whatever the number is, right? Or help financial advisors get more leads through social media, then that's something that you probably would want, right? Not everybody, but this most likely, if you're an advisor, you probably want that, right? Who doesn't want more leads, more sales? But if I say I help financial advisors find the love of their life, and then it's like, is that something they really want? Maybe, but most likely it's not going to be, right? So you got to give them really what they want. So that's for the outcome portion, right? So that's that. And then through specific frameworks, right? So the question that you might be wondering is like, oh, so why should we bother with some fancy framework and whatnot, right? And the truth here is this, right? You really just want to capture their attention, and you want to also in some sense differentiate yourself, right? So that's the key thing, because again, like every advisor can more or less do the same thing, right? However, the whole point over here is that when you're on outbound and you're reaching out to people, right, you want to differentiate yourself by repackaging the services that you do. So the best analogy for me to showcase this, right, is mooncakes, right? So if you think about the Mooncake Festival and stuff like that, where everybody's just selling mooncakes from different restaurants, different hotels and whatnot, the key thing you really understand is that like there's only those few types of mooncake, right? It's either the snow skin or whatever skin it is, and then like or inside there's what? Single yolk, double yolk, and then the lotus paste or whatever. Like more or less it looks similar, right? Like rather the content of the mooncakes are more or less similar. I'm sure there's some chocolate, ice cream, yada yada, but if you look across the entire board, right, like there's only those few types of mooncakes that exist. Now, why do you think then people buy mooncakes from different hotels or whatever it is? Because the main key thing is that the reason why mooncakes are sold for so much money is not because of the mooncake content itself, but because of the packaging, right? So if you buy a mooncake from Intercontinental Hotel versus another mooncake from Crystal Jade or whatever it is, right, the packaging is different, right? So likewise, and that's the key difference, right? When they differentiate themselves and why people buy as well. So if you look from their point of view and you apply it into your value prop statement and having a framework, it's the same thing. As a financial advisor, right, we sell more or less the same product, correct? Right? It's A&H, income protection, replacement, wealth accumulation, premium financing, estate planning, yada yada, and stuff like that. More or less same services, same products, right? So then what's the difference? Repackaging it, right? So again, this is how you want to have and create your own framework. Okay, so one of our clients, and I wish I felt like it was an amazing framework. It was called the FAT framework, right? And FAT, and probably because like he was a little bit larger than life, but he's still an amazing guy. So it's called the FAT framework, right? And then I can't remember exactly the term. I think F is like, I think it's foundational or something like that. And then A is accelerate, and then T is transfer, right? So, and basically the whole point, I might have gotten it all wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. But like the whole point is really, when you run through the FAT framework, in terms of pitching, it's like, okay, cool. So first we need to set the foundation right. So this includes your A&H, stuff like that. A is to accelerate your assets, right? So then you talk about wealth accumulation. And then T is about transfer. It's about transferring your assets to other people, which is a lot to do with estate planning, right? So can you see the fundamental services are still, or products are still the same. The only difference here is the FAT framework, right? It sounds different. It sounds unique. And as much as you like or don't like this idea, consumers and prospects are just love all these new things here and there that captures their interest. And that's what you and I both want when you're approaching the core market, right? So another one that I love, it's called like the PISA framework, right? PISA basically, if you know leading type of PISA or I'm so sorry, like I might pronounce it wrongly, but doesn't matter, right? So PISA, right? So it's just very simple. It's protect income, scale, assets, right? So if you look at this, generally speaking, it's just two things, right? Protect income is about what, right? Income protection, obviously, or replacement. And then if you look at scale assets, basically it's wealth accumulation, right? See? Same thing, right? It's just that it sounds sexy and sounds different on the outside, right? So that's really the key thing if you want to really reach out to co-prospects. Like even if you are doing warm, it's good for branding, it's good as part of your entire status, okay? So that's a value prop statement and for a framework, okay? So moving on to the next one, right? It's number 3. Okay, we'll talk about optimize profile. This is super important. Okay, you need to optimize, right, your profile. So whatever platform that you're on, right, the most important thing you want to do is to optimize your profile. Purely because, just imagine this, right? Someone reaches out to you on LinkedIn, and then when you click on their profile, there's no picture, there's no linking banner, there's no write-up, there's no experience, whatever it is. What are the chances that even though the way you message, the message got your attention, but what are the chances you reply this person or show interest if you go to their profile and realize that it's all a shady thing? You probably wouldn't, right? So a lot of it has to do with your profile, right? Because that's the key thing. Once your prospect receive the message, they will click on your profile. And in your profile, you got to showcase to them, for example, right, the framework, how can you deliver value for them? Are you credible? And are you still alive? And are you posting things that makes you feel a little more legit, right? The whole point of the profile is to make them feel like you are legit, okay, and that you're not a scam. That's the whole point of the optimized profile, okay? So whatever platforms you're on, there are a few key things that you want to have in, right? The first one is obviously insert your framework, right? I help this person to do that through blah, blah, blah. Okay, so number 1 is framework. Number 2, you want to have some form of credibility, right? Or certain things that you achieve or done, right? So again, like the whole point is like, why should people listen to you, right? So you need to showcase some form of credibility, right? So credibility could be things like, for example, maybe you can go with number of lives impacted. That's a different thing that you can measure. Maybe amount of AUM that you have under your portfolio. Perhaps it could also be, like you can put achievements like MDRT, COT, or whatever it is. I think that's pretty cool. But in my personal opinion, I personally feel like when you put MDRT, COT, TOT, the only person or the people that feel like it's cool and it's a big deal are your advisor clicks, right? So again, if you see, like if you're an advisor and then you go on a profile and then you see someone has a TOT, you'll be like, oh my God, this person is like, must be damn good, right? But if you are a consumer, does it really matter like TOT or COT, especially if they don't really understand like what is that anyways, right? And if you tell them, oh, this is 7 times MDRT, then you need to understand what's MDRT, right? And then basically the whole point is like, okay, basically you did well, right? Basically MDRT is like, okay, you did well, you know how to earn money. That's to a large extent like what it reflects generally to like prospects. So again, please put it there if you want to. It's just something that I felt like if we can go with other things that, other credibility or other factors that proves credibility that is more relevant to your prospect, then I think it makes a lot more sense, right? So this credibility. C, which is very, very important, is actually proof, right? / testimonials. Okay, all right, I just put testimonials, right? So testimonials are important, right, from your clients, right? The difference between proof and testimonial, let me just erase the proof, right? The difference between proof and testimonial, right, is that proof could be you have a picture of you and the Prime Minister, right? So that's proof that you have certain form of credibility. Testimonials are literally from your clients that came from them saying that you have done well, they like you, how have you helped them, yada yada and stuff like that. Okay, so that's kind of testimonial. Remember, because right now at this point in time, they know what you can provide. They think that you are fantastic. Okay, and they also feel like, okay, cool, wow, you are such an amazing person. But then the question always comes about which is, how do I know whether how many clients you have, or how do I know whether your clients actually love you? What if you are a COT person, earn a lot of money, sounds credible, but then you are a piece of shit to your clients? I don't know, right? So therefore, the question that you want to answer in their head is basically to answer the doubt about like, does your clients actually like you or feel like you're helpful or useful in any way, right? So client testimonial is important. That's where you want to put it in there, right? So most of this you can put inside your bio if it allows. If it's on LinkedIn, you can put under the featured section. So that's beautiful as well, okay? So for part D, it's you want to have recent posts, okay? Recent posts. Now, especially you're doing cold social media outbound, right? If you can do content on a weekly, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, now that's beautiful. You're going to even attract passive leads coming in, right? Now, however, if you're going to do the bare minimum, I would suggest at least twice a week, purely because they need to see that they will go to your profile. They need to see that, okay, is this person still alive? Is this person still in the industry? And whatnot, right? And if they've seen their recent activities that you have provided value, right, it increases the trust, right? So for example, like they click on the profile, they see your activities, they see that you've done a video providing value. You get their interest, right? You'll be like, hey, they at least watch 1 or 2 videos, and they'll be like, they get a good sensing of who you are. So that's the whole point, right? That you want to have recent posts and tempo as well, right? So the last one over here is just a caveat to this, which is please tidy up the profile, like especially if you're using Facebook and you have like pictures of you getting drunk or images that are not the best. Yeah, you might really want to clear that up because it affects as well. Okay, so that's really how it is right now. Okay, so yes, we are at the third one. So hopefully at this point in time, you find this helpful and get a lot more clarity on like what are certain things that it needs to do, right? There's still 2 more that you do, but at this point in time, I'm just asking, like, again, if you feel like this video is valuable, help me to like and subscribe to this channel because I hear from my team that half of the viewers, right, are not subscribed to this channel. So hit the subscribe button, right, and lots of love for you. Okay, so we can help more people out there, right? So that's number 3. Yeah. So let's move on to number 4. So once you have gotten the audience right, you have the value prop mission statement, and then you have the profile that you optimize. The fourth one then you want to do is obviously the message, right? Like, what is the messaging, right? What are you going to send out to them, right? Again, remember that your prospects have a ton of message that they receive every single day, like every single day. Okay, a lot of it. If you are a financial advisor, you probably not receive the people that will probably send you messages are probably like managers, directors that want to push you over to another agency, right, or another company. That's the kind of thing that you receive, right? Or maybe message from me. Okay, so that's kind of big idea here, right? So again, the messaging got to be sharp, right? The key thing about when you message someone, it has to be sharp. It delivers value and get them to reply. Okay, so one of the things that we keep it short, right, is like, hey, then fill in the name, right? Hey, name, or like, hey, Ben, I saw that you are, okay, I saw that you are for example, then I'll put occupation, right? Hey Ben, I saw that you are a doctor, right? And insert mission statement. Okay, insert MS, Okay, hey Ben, I saw that you are a doctor with occupation, and insert mission statement. And I help doctors to get more free time and blah blah blah, so they can really enjoy their practice, right? Okay. Would then end off with a would you be interested, right? Then reply yes if you want to, and so on and so forth, right? In certain cases, I'll also add in, if you have, for example, you have materials like ebooks, you have maybe your Instagram or you have a YouTube channel that is pretty credible and stuff like that, right? You might want to put it there as well, so that, again, it increases the chance of them replying. So remember that whatever that we're doing at this point in time, right, it's not to sell them a product at this point in time. The whole point is to gain their interest, and then number 2, right, get them, right, to hop on a call with you. That's essentially it, right? That's the most important portion, right? Also, Lead Magnex, maybe a certain website and stuff like that. So you can add in the links over there, right? So that's the messaging part. That's the easy part, right? Right. Hey name, I saw that you are blah blah blah, and I help blah 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 to blah 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 through blah blah blah. Will you be interested? Just reply yes if you are. Looking forward to your reply. By the way, you can also check out some of these things, materials that I've created purely just to provide you free value. Things like that, right? So that's for the messaging portion, right? So this is what we call the initial messaging, the first thing that you want to send out, right? So that's the easy part. Now, this is I think maybe some of the advisors have already done all the 4 steps. Now, but here's the biggest thing that people don't do, right? Or people, like, this is where the money is. This is where the appointments are, if I were to put it this way, right? The appointments falls in the follow-up. When you're doing cold outbound prospecting, follow-ups are the key things that makes you the money and gets you the appointments, okay? So, like, you need to understand, sometimes after you send the first connection message or you send messages to them, right, they might not reply not because your messaging sucks, maybe it is, but like, other than that, it's maybe because they didn't see a message, they get spammed a lot, and maybe they're just busy, they didn't hop on the platforms as frequent as you would expect them to be, and stuff like that, right? So again, the follow-ups are messages that we ping them, right, so that we can be at the top again to gain visibility, right, and to also show that you actually care for them, right? So that's kind of a big idea for follow-ups, right? So I mean, I don't have to talk much about follow-ups, but essentially if they didn't reply, you say like, hey, just want to bump this message up, have you seen this, or hey, how are you, yada yada, and stuff like that. Hey, are you busy, stuff like that. Just continuous follow-ups, right, before you can get the appointment. Okay, so in short, right, if I do summarize everything again, first of all, right, you want to nail down your audience. Number 2, you want to nail down the value prop / mission statement. Number 3, optimize your profile. And number 4, messaging and a ton of follow-ups. Okay, so hopefully you have got these 5 pillars in place that will help you to get more prospects on whether is it on different social media platforms, right? And I think one of the things that I've done as well is that in the bottom of this video, I've also attached an Excel sheet, a Google sheet that is what I call an anatomy of like social media profile. So in the Excel sheet inside, it will show you exactly how should you prime your profile and what kind of frameworks should you create, etc. Right? So it's totally free. Download it, use it, share with your friends, whatever it is, and I hope that you get a lot more prospects on LinkedIn, IG, or Facebook. Okay, I think more importantly, again, if you found this video valuable, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, let me know in the comments or DM me or whatnot if this video actually helped you. Okay, if not, lots of love. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I'll see you in the next one.